everyone, it's been another busy week as it's still application season and I work for a church, so as you can imagine, we're in the middle of Lent, which packs a whole bunch of extra little things into it when they do events and things. So it's been extra busy with all of that, which is why I haven't done another hour-long tutorial type video yet. That, and I'm also working on a lot of other classes like farmers markets types of things and lavender events. I love those seasonal things where you actually go out on the field and you can make things with themes. And so to plan properly with all of that, we kind of need the samples beforehand and all the pictures so we can actually get some people out there this summer, see what kind of distancing happens with that in the future. So we'll see, but gotta be prepared. And I counted up all the farmers markets and events. There could easily be a dozen dates for one particular tiny farmers market and then another dozen dates over for this event out near a lavender farm. And that's just those two locations. There's so much that can be done out there, and I do want to pick up some more art fairs as well, which includes doing the framed art and the bigger pieces, which are a different level of painting than all of these little crafty classes that can be done in about an hour or 20 minutes, 20 minutes or less, some really short ones to pick up and have fun with. So I'm trying to put that all together, planning on big projects that I can do and advertise, partially advertising, but just build some hype and excitement for other shows down the road, like Arts and Eats tour in October. I loved that show. Of course, it was canceled last year, and we'll see what happens this year. Some other shows still are canceling themselves because there's too many unknowns for them right now. I struggle with that a little bit because I feel like there's a lot of creative solutions we can do, like Tulip Time Festival that I was applied for, the artisan market type of thing, and that's going all virtual. That's different. There's pros and cons to that, but I'm going to try it anyway because I'm getting my online shop up, and that's really exciting. So getting all these little crafty stuff out of the way, getting big projects that I can put together, all those little things, and here I am painting more tulips. Now this tulip right here, I just love the fact that tulip bulbs are there right now. It is the middle of March, and if Tulip Time prepared itself the way they normally do, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of tulips planted right now that haven't poked up yet, or just barely. It's been kind of warm. But in the winter, those are all planted. They're all there right now, and you don't hardly ever see the bulb on a tulip. I believe you can force a bulb to grow like hydroponically with just water and there's more to it than that, but you can see the naked bulb in the glass vase, and that's really cool. It's something you don't see. And so I'm painting a few tulips where you can actually see the bulb right there, because that's a huge part of tulips. It's not just the one flower on top, but the whole process of planting the bulb underneath it excuse me, and then having it just be dormant there for a while. That kind of thing, that kind of dormant seeds, the whole theme is really current in my mind right now, and I'll hopefully be doing some more art with this theme of seeds and then blooms and planting. I just love those metaphors when it comes to nature and seeds and things like that, so hopefully I'll be working more with that. And even some poetry might be in there. Who knows? It's a crazy world. So that's what I'm working on. I almost did this particular little tulip, this long tulip. It's a 3-inch by 9-inch canvas, I believe. I buy them to do long, tiny landscapes or make little triptychs out of a 9 by 12 with the middle and then 2 of those on the outside. You could frame those together. It's something different and unique and fun, but it was perfect for this long bookmark-like tulip, which reminds me I should make bookmarks out of this design. That'd be cool. There's so many little things I want to do with these designs. I want to make magnet sets. I want to put them on print-on-demand objects. I want to make prints and postcard sets with different and of course, of all of these ideas, and because of work and a little bit of ADHD management that I'm still getting the hang of, I might get one of these things done during the day. So I'm working on that. That's always a learning process as things come up, but that's okay. Like, what else is on my list here that I wanted to talk about here? Water mixable oils. Because I love sensory stuff, touchy, feely, smell, I realized that when I play around with oil paint, I love the texture, I love the smell. I don't huff the, I'm trying to be good. It's the mediums, mostly the turpentine and oils, the oil, mineral spirits, that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that will really get you. You have to be careful about more of the toxic pigments, of course, but linseed oil and walnut oil aren't going to hurt you that much. I love the smell of oils. It's the mediums that can really do you some damage if you're not careful. But playing with that, I got some water mixable oils. I believe it's a modified linseed oil that they use mostly for this. And your brushes can get majority of it clean with just water. I'll usually use some soap afterwards, like Dawn, dish soap. Murphy's oil soap is also really good for something that's got oil media on it. And you can also thin down the paint with water a little bit, so you don't have to get any of those other paint thinners in there, which is good for my cat and myself, or if it's too cold to open the window. But I've been enjoying that, the nice thick paint. I think it's actually a little more expensive than some regular oil paints, unfortunately. Depends on where you get it. I almost did the tulip in that, but then this is where I'm torn with oils and acrylics, is that I like to embed things in the acrylic and do some deep texture, and I feel like I have more freedom to play with acrylic, like putting metallic threads, putting any kind of little metallic things to give it that one extra depth of texture. I want to play around with more of that and more texture, and I need to do bigger things too. So basically, this whole video is just a list of things I want to do, and more ideas are coming up as I talk about it. I do that to my poor boss and my husband and friends. They ask me a simple little question, and then suddenly, not only do they have a long answer, but I have 3 other ideas for projects while I'm doing it, which isn't necessarily a whole bad thing. Now, with doing a whole bunch of these art classes, and there's lots of stuff that's going to be fun. I get to try doing virtual classes on Zoom, and I'll be getting a webcam or something for that. So that will be interesting. Special painting. My brother teaches virtually, and he's given me lots of cool tips about that. So I'm excited to see how that works. And then it's not a struggle. I don't know if it's an issue, a struggle, a challenge, something I've noticed anyway about prepping for lots of small crafty things, is that I'm constantly painting at a beginner level, which, hey, the basics are great to know, don't get me wrong. Getting the basics down, trying to think about the process of why I'm doing things, and then just getting the basic shapes, things like that, no problem. But when I'm constantly working on just beginner level stuff to make it simple for someone with almost no art experience to do in 20 minutes, that's not the level where I can push myself and challenge myself to paint. So I struggle, like, oh my gosh, this work sucks. I mean, of course it doesn't to a beginner, no, but I would be discouraged if that's all the art level that I would do if I'd been working this long, if that makes sense. It's like, if you've been working at it for 10 years, you'd probably paint differently. So I need to balance all these things I'm doing. It's like, do some stuff for beginners, easy peasy, easy for me now, might not be easy for you, and that's the whole point. Even the people like Mozart, okay, maybe that's a bad example, he's actually kind of a savant, but most of the people who are amazing professionals started out making funky art. Not quite, I don't want to say bad art, because when you're a beginner, that's just your level. And I say Mozart was a bad example because I believe he actually was a savant from a very young age. But the majority, 99.9% of people have to get through that bumpy patch of basically making bad art, or what you might think of it as bad, but that's just your level. I've seen so many of my students that they did awesome art for their level. It looked like a beginning painting of mine, and I'm not even considering myself that great of a master painter. But when I do find an ugly stage that I'm like, I don't know what I can do with this, I need to push through, and it's usually just because I need to keep painting. That's just the beginning. And that's okay. So I need to stop painting at a beginner level, even though I love how it challenges how I approach things and the process of everything. And I love watching other beginning adults to just open up and play. And I'm curious on how I get to watch that virtually. But love helping beginner adults with that. But I don't want to be stuck at a beginner level myself. I don't want to, this is the thing, I don't want to diss beginners. That's not what I'm trying to do. But there's different things I want to build on that needs experience and, well, I hope experience. And I'm just babbling on right there. So I need to balance it out between learning and actually practicing just plain rendering and drawing in perspective, learning, producing the art kits that might be at a beginner basic level, because that takes a whole different set of energy and time, especially if we get crafty and I try to make my craft boxes to sell at these farmers markets. And then I need the framed big stuff. And my crazy brain, who really, really wants to make this my full-time job and then some, I just think merchandising. It's terrifying. It's like, what happened to art for art's sake? No, I think merchandising. Like, oh, I must make magnets of this and bookmarks of that and put this on a t-shirt and this on a tote. And then it becomes more of a product than a piece of art. And I'm back at square one wondering, hey, I want this art to mean something. And it's just a bonus that I can put on a magnet to make it more accessible for people or make it art you can live with at that point. So we're going back to that spiral of existential thinking of why. It's one of my favorite words, why. And I've often likened the word question why to glue. It can stick your project together and give it meaning and purpose, but if you use it wrong, it can prevent you from going anywhere. And you can ask why so much that you get stuck in a rut and you don't do anything. So I want more purpose in my art. It's fun to make pretty things. It is, but we've got plenty of pretty things. I feel like I want a bit more, at least in, some of my art. I want something a little bit more than just another pretty landscape. And I might have to make lots of regular, plain, pretty abstract landscapes until I get to that point. Who knows? Because we all see things a little differently out there. So we'll see how all it goes. Anyway, that was nice rambling on a bit about thinking about the purpose of art. Especially now, this past couple of years, a lot of creators and content makers struggle with making things that are so happy and so bubbly and joyful that it feels like you're ignoring all the other things going on. Like you don't have to take into account someone else's difficulties, which we're not trying to do, okay? We're not trying to slap a smiley face sticker on someone's wound, okay? But we realize that the content we make can touch someone, or at least touch something like that, and yet be a bit more. It's like, hey, you know what? We see all this junk going on in the world, but you know what? We're saying to that junk that we're going to make pretty things despite of it. Not because we turned a blind eye to it, but because that is one of the greatest things of defiance towards the ugliness in the world, is to continue to make pretty things, to continue to make life-giving things full of light and laughter. Like, if you laugh at something while looking it in the face, rather than shutting your eyes, I guess, again, I'm going way too deep with this whole thing, but I shouldn't be ashamed, and you shouldn't be ashamed of making pretty things that make you happy, drawing things that make you happy. The world needs more pretty things. I was just thinking the other day, who designed a streetlight? It's kind of ugly when you put 100 of them together, or those telephone poles and power lines. Like, why is our everyday world like just ugly from a certain base level? Maybe it's just because it's the world we live in and we get used to that, but who designed all this? When was it a good design? Because I imagine when it was first created, it probably fit that world and was very futuristic. But we need designers and creators to make pretty things for the future and to help everyone have a better life. It improves our lives. So there. Alright, what else is on my list of getting off my chest, I guess, or just filling up this video with more tulipy things. Making something pretty, yep, got that part. Classes and stuff, yep, got that part. Tulips, lots and lots of tulips. Yeah, I wasn't, words are good. Accepted into the virtual Tulip Time Artist Market. I have so many more ideas for that, and you know what they say about ideas, because I don't. But I've got so many ideas of videos I want to do, different merchandise I want to put on my website. There's so much I could do, and then I might have a nap. So it's an interesting balance of different kinds of art to do and getting stuff out there. But Tulip Time Art Market, that's coming up on, going live from the Tulip Time website, April 24th through May 9th, I believe. Most of my stuff is going to be up in general anyway. I'll have a separate tulip page just for that stuff, but you'll be able to find all sorts of other things on my website, and I hope to make a few tulip-themed videos just for that week. So if you've made it this far, congratulations, and thank you so much for joining me on this journey to make the world a better place with art. And if you're a beginning artist who loves to make messes or is scared to make messes, I'd love to help you out with that, and we can make beautiful messes together.